Hello, welcome. We're going to get started at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. We have this little icebreaker map. So if you want to drop into the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from, we can put a pin on the map for your location. So go ahead and type it into the chat and I will add it to our map. All right, I see our first comment, Bangalore, India. Excellent. Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam. Thank you. Welcome. Okay, for those just tuning in, this is our icebreaker. We'll be starting in about 7 minutes, but in the meantime, if you want to type into the chat where you're tuning in from, we'll drop a pin on the map. And thank you for coming to the Mapbox 2024 spring release. Maui, Hawaii. I was just there a few weeks ago. Maui. There we go. Welcome. Quebec. I see Quebec. Quebec City. I don't know. I'll just say Quebec. So this little icebreaker app powered by Mapbox using Mapbox GLJS with the globe feature, and then also uses, I believe, the geocoding plugin, which is using the geocoding v6 API behind the scenes. I see, I don't know how to pronounce that properly, so I will just type it. Is it Lecce? Lesse? I don't know. Somebody correct me on the pronunciation of that. Okay, welcome. Thank you for coming to the spring release. We'll start in about 6 minutes. But in the meantime, if you want to drop your location into the chat, I will add it to the map. Okay, I see Brazil, Florianópolis. All right. And Medellin, Colombia. New Orleans, welcome. I see San Francisco. Let's just say San Francisco, California. Thank you for tuning in to the spring release. We're going to get started in about 5 minutes. You probably already see in the chat, people are shouting out their locations. I'd be happy to put a pin on the map for yours if you want to drop in there and say hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Canary Islands, Spain, welcome. I should have picked the one lower down, but this should work. Okay, I think that's a little more specific than you meant, but it's there. Okay, I see Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska. Welcome. I see Washington, D.C. and Boston. So let's get the East Coast, not Washington, but Washington, D.C. And Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in to the Mapbox spring release. We're going to start in about 5 minutes. In the meantime, if you haven't yet, drop a note in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and I will add a pin to the map. Okay, I see UK. Let's see where the pin goes if we type just United Kingdom. There it goes. Nanaimo, British Columbia. There we go. Kensington, London. Kensington. Let's see what comes up. Kensington and Chelsea, Greater London, England. Let's do that. Thanks for tuning in to the Mapbox 2024 spring release. We're going to start in about 3 or 4 minutes. If you're just tuning in, go ahead and drop your location in the chat, and I will do my best to search for it using this Mapbox powered search box and drop it on the map. And somebody said more specifically Manchester, so let's find Manchester. Let's do the greater Manchester area. Make sure we can see the Southern Hemisphere as well. Cape Town, all right. Speaking of Southern Hemisphere, Cape Town, South Africa. Welcome. I think you win Farthest South Award. All right, time is now 12:29 Eastern. We're going to give people a few minutes past the bottom of the hour. But for those who are just tuning in, if you want to drop your location into the chat, I will do my best to try and get everyone's pins on the map while we wait for the webinar to start. And should get started in just a few minutes here. Missoula, Montana, welcome. And I see Amsterdam. Excellent, welcome. I see, oh, now there's a lot of people talking. I'm going to try and keep up. Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia. St. Paul, Minnesota. I think I need to reprogram this to clear the search input so I can go faster here. San Francisco. Oh, we already have San Francisco. Los Angeles, welcome. Los Angeles, California, welcome. Issaquah, I think I said that right. Issaquah, Washington, welcome. Iowa City, Iowa, welcome. I have someone who wrote France. Paris is already on the map. Let's see. Let's see what comes up if we just say France. And Toronto, Canada. Welcome. And we have Gothenburg, Sweden. Okay, this list is getting long. I probably won't be able to get to everyone, but I'm just going to keep going down the list from the top. Gothenburg. And by the way, I would love to share the code for this. If anyone's interested, you can probably track me down in the Mapbox developer Discord because I think this is a fun icebreaker that I've actually used in a couple other scenarios too. So great way to pass the time while we're waiting for webinar to start. We're going to give people about 2 more minutes. We're going to start at 33 after the hour. So let me keep trying to make my way down this list. We were at Gothenburg. Let's do Clarington, Ontario. Welcome. Clarington, Ontario. All right. I see Bristol. Bristol in the UK. Welcome. I see Munich. Munich. Okay. Got about 1 more minute and we will jump in and get started. Let me do a couple more of these. Huntsville, Alabama. Welcome. Boulder, Colorado. Whoops. Boulder, Colorado. Welcome. Welcome to the Mapbox spring release. And Tokyo, Japan. Let's do Tokyo. Okay. Wonderful. Let's see. Colima, Mexico. And one more. San Juan, Puerto Rico. Not that one. There it is. Welcome. Okay, time is now 9:33 Pacific, 12:33 Eastern, and with that, I will we'll kick us off. So welcome everyone to the Mapbox 2024 Spring Release webinar. My name is Chris Wong. I'm the head of developer relations here at Mapbox, and I want to welcome you to this event. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected, the need for robust location solutions has never been greater. At Mapbox, we're dedicated to solving the location intelligence challenges faced by businesses and developers, empowering them to thrive in today's dynamic landscape. In the first quarter of this year, we've made significant strides in enhancing our platform across all fronts. In today's session, we'll be covering our recent releases within our three key pillars of location intelligence. Those are to enrich, to visualize, and to personalize your location data. These pillars form the foundation of our commitment to delivering high-quality solutions that address the diverse needs of businesses and developers worldwide. For our agenda today, we'll cover new releases in each of the three pillars with members from our product and product marketing team in our spring release product launch section. To bring this to life, we're excited to have Benjamin Trandin, who's the founding engineer for Guided Energy, joining our customer spotlight, which will be hosted by Alistair Miller, and who's part of our imagery product and partnership team. Then we'll end with Q&A. You'll be able to ask anyone today and our product managers at Mapbox questions about recently released products or anything top of mind as a Mapbox developer. We'll be utilizing Zoom's Q&A feature for that section, so please familiarize yourself with the user interface, how to create a question as we get closer to the Q&A. Let's get started. At Mapbox, we understand that quality data is essential for effective decision-making. That's why our latest updates include enhanced data enrichment capabilities, providing businesses and developers with access to a wealth of additional information to augment their spatial data sets. Whether it's demographic data for a targeted marketing campaign or for real-time traffic information to optimize logistics routes, Mapbox enriches your location data to provide deeper insights and drive better outcomes. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bing Peng.
Thanks, Chris, and hello everyone out there. I am Bing, one of the product marketing managers at Mapbox. Thanks for joining us today. And today I will be covering one of our location intelligence pillars, Enrich. In this spring release, we wanted to highlight how enriched data can drive better decision making with dynamic information reflecting real world. First, let's talk about Mapbox boundaries. Thank you. Mapbox boundary is now available as a FLAC GeoJSON file. Mapbox boundaries has long since been offered in the form of vector file sets. While the vector file format ensures fast load time and easy implementation, adding a FLAC file format actually allows you to achieve deeper geospatial analysis by combining boundaries data with additional business data from you. Key benefits of FLAC file, including you can access raw geometry for operations like unions or intersect. And you can also integrate boundaries data for high volume use case and combine geometry and metadata and also create a divide data set. Next is the Searchbox API. Searchbox API is now generally available to everyone. Since its initial launch, Searchbox has attracted thousands of developers seeking a cost-effective and developer-friendly solution with the additional benefits of extensive location data coverage in the United States, Canada, and Europe. With over 375 million addresses and over 170 million POIs, the API empowers navigation for connect vehicles and compelling apps used by Toyotas, GM, ANWB, and Streetway for drivers and deliveries. Our customer, ANWB, the Royal Dutch Touring Club, selected Mapbox to enhance their drive apps, providing hyperlocal trip planning for their over 5 million members. By integrating Mapbox Navigation SDK and the Searchbox SDK, they create a unified on-the-road experience with incorporate bring your own data capability, real-time traffic data, and customize the map style directly into their map. Thanks, Franklin. He said, the Mapbox search box API help us to improve the search feature in the NWB driver app. Now, our member can search all of Mapbox data for places, address, and point of interest to prepare their route. And at the same time, we can add our own custom data to further enhance the driver experience. Thanks, Franklin. And the geocoding v6, the latest version of our geocoding API, is now available for you. It includes union-level geocoding, batch geocoding, and advanced analytic features, all designed to elevate your location intelligence. For instance, if you need deliver food or department to department or pick up someone from their office suite, no problem. Our union level geocoding makes sure you get the exact location every time. We are talking coverage of 5 million multi-union buildings and cover 20 million unique units in the US. In addition, with batch geocoding, now you can submit large volume of geocode queries in a single request. That's amazing. We also improved Japan coverage, achieving industry-leading coverage and accuracy over 99% of Japanese addresses. Congrats, team. Our structured input lets you break down address into individual parts, like street numbers and the street name. This is especially very helpful for well-organized address data. Lastly, permanent geocoding is now self-serve and available for all Mapbox customers. As we all know, accurate addresses are crucial for many businesses and industries. Instant Car optimized deliveries with Mapbox geocoding and other services ensure shoppers are getting the right correct store and deliver address. In addition, business can streamline online checkout with Mapbox geocoding built-in autocomplete. Customer can just complete the transaction faster by providing accurate address suggesting and validating the complete address during the checkout, which is amazing. Next, Mapbox Movement V4. This release increases data density and data coverage. Thank you. The release allows us to resolve activity with greater accuracy and consistency, and expand the data coverage. And improve the outlier detection process now has a 95% accuracy rate in identifying and justifying the outliers. Now you can make a better decision based on the real movement data. All right, last but not least, distance, duration, and isochronous features now available on Mapbox Snowflake Net apps. Since we launched the initial application, Snowflake customer has leveraged geolocation intelligence everywhere, from travel agencies recommending the perfect getaway cabin to hospital optimizing the patient care. They are finding tons of value in location data. Now, with the distance and the duration, you can easily calculate not just the straight line distance between 2 points, but also how long it actually takes you to get there, factoring the real world traffic condition. And then there are isochrones. Imagine draw a circle around a location, but instead of a perfect circle, look at my screen, the product shot. It also shows you the actual area you can reach within a specific time frame. Whether you are walking, biking, or driving, you can select. So those features give you a much clearer picture of how far you can go and how long it takes you to get there, which opens a whole new world of possibility for you to conduct any other location-based analysis. All right, we just talked about how amazing boundary flag file format can help you achieve deeper geospatial analysis. Our data expert, Liz Summerfield, made an amazing demo to share with you. Let's watch the 3 minutes demo with me together. Thank you.
Welcome to the Mapbox Boundaries Flat Files demo. What we're going to do is take a look at a couple of different use cases. First, we're going to take a look at what you can do with points and polygon count. And we'll go ahead and take a look at this little demo. What I've got is a side-by-side map here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up a data set. I'm going to look at Bigfoot sightings. Those will load up in a second here. And it's a little bit difficult to really tell what this is doing for us. We can see a whole lot of clusters of points, but it's hard to tell how many there are and really where the bulk of these sightings are. So we want to add a different kind of visualization, but we need to figure out how many points are within each of these polygons. So we're going to bring up the state polygons that I have stored in my database and add them as a layer here. And now we're going to create a choropleth. And now what you can see is that we have a much better indication of how many points there are within each of these states. And the darker states have many more Bigfoot sightings than the lighter states. We can see we got a few in Alaska. We got a few even out in the ocean. But for the most part, we can see much better with this visualization where the data's clustered. And this is pretty easy to do with just a query. So this is what your query would look like in order to count the number of points within each geometric area, because those polygons are stored in the database, makes it very easy. And then what you get back on the other side here is a GeoJSON of counts associated with these Mapbox IDs, which make it very easy to then add these counts to your Mapbox layer when you have boundaries loaded up on your map. Next thing we're going to look at is the polygon unions. In this case, we have all of the different shapes stored in the back end, and we're going to go ahead and bring up a very similar UI. And here we have the same side-by-side map. What we're now going to do is put a different data set on. In this case, I'm going to use Walmart stores, and I put all the stores in the United States on the map. What I want to do is create delivery areas around these, and I'm going to have to join some polygons together to do that. So I've now added the zip code polygons from the boundaries product, and I'm going to go ahead and click on some polygons, and we're going to create a delivery zone in this case. So what I've done is added some polygons together, and I'm going to go ahead and click the button to create a join. And now you can see I have one polygon that encompasses all of the polygons from the other side. This is very easy to do with a SQL query. And here's what that query would look like. And then the output on the other side, once all of this runs, is a single polygon in GeoJSON. And you can take that, you can save that right back to your database. And now what you have is an associated delivery area with your single location that we have on the left side here.
All right, thanks, Bing and Liz. So next we're going to move on to the visualize pillar. All right, so visualization is key to unlocking the value of location data. And our platform offers a suite of powerful tools to help you create compelling visualizations that resonate with your audience. From dynamic mapping solutions to customizable styling options, Mapbox empowers you to transform raw data into engaging visual experiences that inform and inspire. Whether you're showcasing real estate listings, tracking supply chain operations, or visualizing customer demographics, Mapbox provides the tools you need to bring your data to life. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Greg Banneker.
Thanks, Chris. And hello, everyone. I'm Greg. I'm on the product marketing team here at Mapbox. And as Chris said, I will be covering another one of our location intelligent pillars, which is visualize. So in this spring release, we wanted to make sure we highlight how visualization can unlock the value of location data and help you create compelling visualizations that really resonate with your customers and your end users. So first, I want to talk about our Flutter plugin for the Mobile Maps SDKs, which is now generally available to all of our customers. Flutter can be used to develop cross-platform applications for Android and iOS. So developers can code once and deploy to both their apps, which really saves a lot of developer time and resources. So many developers who work with Mapbox have been asking for this. And in fact, there was a community supported plugin. But Mapbox is happy to take that plugin under our wing and fully support it so that it does get regular maintenance and updates from us. And just so that Mapbox can continue to be a developer-focused platform that really aims to help you work with the tools and frameworks of your preference. Okay, next I want to introduce that the search SDKs are also now available for everyone. So this is a powerful toolkit that empowers developers to seamlessly integrate robust search features into their applications. These features include offline search, ready-to-use search UI components, favorites, saved search history, as well as personalization, all offering a developer-friendly experience when building your Android and iOS apps. A particular note, the Search SDK's offline feature set also integrates effortlessly with other Mapbox SDKs. So empowering users with a seamless search and navigation experience regardless of internet connectivity. We also recently updated our aerial imagery layer. So we added over 1 million square kilometers covering major cities in the US, Canada, and Europe. Our imagery provides additional context to the map, for example, when exploring a new area for an outdoor adventure. It helps set property boundaries for security cameras. It helps identify structures for business opportunities like roofs for solar panels. It also serves as a great reference for change over time. So for this reason, we know that it's pivotal that our imagery remain up to date and high resolution so that the decisions you are making, the business decisions you're making, or that your end users are making are based on the most accurate imagery possible. Imagery can also be used for fun and games. That's a little teaser for a part of what our guest speaker coming later is going to talk about. All right, Mapbox standard. So last year we introduced our elegant and highly functional symbolic 3D base map, which we call Mapbox standard. Mapbox standard brings 3D buildings, custom design landmarks, 3D terrain, and a dynamic lighting and shadow system to everyone. It is our new default style. It's improving location context and wayfinding and also elevating the map viewing experience for your end users. We're constantly making improvements to the base map, but one improvement that always seems to get our customers excited are the custom design landmarks. So we are proud to say that we now cover over 100 global cities with 3D landmarks, and we're consistently working every month to add more. Right now, North America and Europe have 38 and 37 cities respectively. Japan has 17. Additionally, we've also covered Brazil, Australia, Singapore, and Shanghai. And just recently, we built 15 global airports. This includes London Heathrow, Amsterdam Schiphol, New York's JFK, and Tokyo Haneda, and 11 others as well. And finally, the capability I just personally am most excited about is Mapbox tiling service support for raster weather data. So first and foremost, Mapbox tiling service, or MTS, can now handle all the data needs for weather customers. So whether their data be in native raster or vector format. Now they can take any weather data, process it into tile sets, work with it on our platform, and then publish to their app. So Mapbox customers now don't need to invest in their own infrastructure for tiling their weather data. They can migrate to a single tech stack and pipeline for raster and vector data and let Mapbox handle processing and hosting. For large demanding pipelines, we estimate that this could potentially save hundreds of hours of valuable engineering resources and hundreds of thousands of dollars in building and maintaining, your own proprietary processing pipeline. And now, since raster data goes in as raster data and is processed and tiled as raster data, the numerical data contained in the raster grids is preserved. So this allows for engaging functionality like dynamic colorization or point querying, which is what you see on the screen here, or also particle animation, which is another feature that we know our weather customers are excited about. So weather organizations can visualize multiple variables like speed and direction, and they can then interpolate that data that might come in lengthy increments. For example, they can consistently visualize the speed and direction of wind data when that wind information may only come every 12 hours. This provides a better representation of the weather to end users and also helps them better understand how to prepare for weather events. So I do want to highlight right now, raster support is only available for weather customers as we're really honing the capability with the file formats most popular with weather data. But we do have plans to expand to other raster file formats. This is also currently available in private beta only. So if you are interested in joining the beta, please reach out to your account manager or you can contact us. And with that, I do want to pass it over to Alistair Miller, who is the product manager managing this capability. And he's going to give a quick demo.
Thank you, Greg. Just wanted to make sure I could get my screen up. So as Greg said, I'm Alistair Miller. I'm the product manager for the raster team. We're responsible for our imagery products, elevation products, as well as this new raster processing through MTS. I'm really excited to show you some of the cool things that you can do using weather data, using raster MTS to process weather data and turn it into tile sets. As Greg mentioned, often we see weather data coming in primarily two formats, GRIB format or NetCDF. And so what we've developed is a way to take the source data and turn it into Mapbox tiles. So as Greg mentioned, you can persist the values that are underneath, have almost unlimited options in terms of styling and how you want to present the data. And I want to walk you through a couple of those examples today. So what we're looking at here is data that we've pulled from the Japan Meteorological Agency, or JMA. And we have a couple different variables that we're representing through a raster tile set. Right now, I've got temperature displayed on the screen. And one of the cool things about working with raster tile sets that's a little different from vector tile sets is you can do any of the styling on the client side and have it styled on the fly. So if you wanted to, assign a set of colors to a range of temperature for a vector tile set, if you wanted to change those colors, you're going to have to reprocess the tile set. You don't need to do that with raster data. So in this case, you can choose to, pick from the range of data that you're showing. So just change the colors that you're representing on the screen. Or even if you wanted to represent a closer, tighter range of temperatures, say in this case from 0 to 14 degrees Celsius, you can do that through and it renders it on the fly. And as you're able to take that data, put it into a tile set, and a lot of raster data will have time bands for weather. In this case, we're looking at 3-hour differences of temperature, being able to animate that in the browser to show that temperature change over time. It's one of the benefits of being able to do that. As you were seeing in the GIF that was on the slide before, there's client-side querying, so you can control a click with a mouse or a hover to show that underlying value of temperature or precipitation or humidity, whatever it may be. We've also updated the tile query API so that you can do server-side querying of the data. So if you have, say, a precipitation data set and you want to query to just understand where it's raining or when it's going to be raining at a rate of more than 1 inch per hour, you can query that on the server side and pull that out to build a graph or a table without having to visualize the data or reference the tile set that's there. One of the other things that you can do with raster data and that we've made available through Mapbox Studio is to pick from some preset color palettes. In this case, we're just using the spectral palette, taking a spectral range and assigning values from 0 to 255. And you take the related temperature and be able to represent that. But you can have predefined palettes, whether it's turbo or plasma. Some will work better for different types of input data. You can see for something like precipitation, being able to look at that, like a radar map, different ways that you may want to visualize that to see, the lighter rains or the heavier rains in a given area and changing the range of data that you might want to view. Similar to something like humidity. I'll change this back to the spectral, frankly, just because I think it looks pretty cool. But being able to look at this to see a real wave of humidity kind of coming across the island of Japan and then moving off to the east eventually and southeast as you see that dynamic flow in the atmosphere when it's measuring humidity. One of the things that we're really excited about is the ability to show particle animation. And with particle animation, that is the idea of weather data sets that might represent wind or smoke or wave data. Data that has both a magnitude and a direction. So instead of scalar data that is really just a value across a range, vector data is different, not from a vector raster standpoint, but from having a magnitude and direction. In this case, the recent 3.3 release of GLJS includes particle animation support for the web. So if you have wind data, you're able to animate that. You can use controls to decide the length, the thickness, the duration of the particles that you want to animate. And they also animate with the time series. So as the winds in this case change over time, you can see these particles shifting while also the temperature is shifting underneath, corresponding with those time series. But you may want to have, the ability to configure different types of particles in different ways. Wind is generally represented with nice, smooth flowing lines, but something like wave data, you may want to represent because it moves in different directions. You may want to represent it in shorter lines that move in a different way. And so that's something that can be controlled in the JavaScript. We're working to build some of those controls into Studio. But we are very excited to be able to let customers that have weather data bring it to the platform, be able to turn it into tile sets, and then really take advantage of the real broad set of controls for styling and how you want to convey the visual experience for your users. So with that, I'd like to turn it back to Chris and continue on with the webinar from there. Chris?
All right, thanks, Alistair. And thank you, Greg, for the recap of the last pillar. So the final pillar is the personalized pillar. In today's hyper-connected world, personalization is paramount. That's why Mapbox is committed to delivering personalized location experiences that cater to the unique needs and preferences of your users. Our platform enables businesses and developers to tailor content, recommendations, and experiences based on user behavior and context, fostering deeper engagement and driving greater loyalty. With all that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Gianfrido to cover the releases in this section. Take it away, Mike.
Thank you, Chris. Hi, all. I'm Mike from the product team. Today, I'll be covering our last location intelligence pillar, personalization, personalize. In this spring release, we want to highlight how you can deliver location experiences that cater to the unique needs and preferences of your users. With our navigation SDK, you can design a personalized navigation experience for any device or platform. You maintain full control over your app's experience and brand identity by embedding navigation directly into your product. This allows you to smoothly transition users into a rich turn-by-turn navigation journey, engaging them with custom data visualizations tailored to your brand. In this most recent release, we've integrated our most recent AI features and built a navigation experience on Mapbox standard. You can now create a modern 3D navigation experience within your application. This release includes a live traffic layer powered by the real-time Mapbox backend, along with a runtime infrastructure that enhances the smoothness and reliability of navigation. Thank you, and now back to Chris.
All right, thanks, Mike. So let's recap. So next few slides, we'll just cover the products and features that we talked about in this release. So for Enrich, we covered Boundary Flat File, the Searchbox API, Geocoding API v6, Mapbox Movement v4, the dataset of Boundary, or the Movement dataset, and then the Snowflake Native App v2.0 with isochrone feature. For the Visualize pillar, we talked about the Mobile Maps SDK Flutter plugin, so you can code once and release on iOS and Android at the same time. The mobile search SDKs, our aerial imagery update, the continuous updates to Mapbox standard, our standard style, and the raster MTS improvements. And then finally, for personalized, we covered the navigation SDK v3. So now we're going to talk about upcoming releases. So there's a few things that weren't quite ready for this webinar, but are coming soon that you'll be excited about. So I'll let Greg cover those quickly. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So as Chris said, we do have 3 releases coming up that are in private preview right now. So if you hear something you like and you think you may want to get involved with the private preview, please feel free to reach out to your account manager or contact us. So the first is called Private Data Link, and this is really all about data security and sovereignty, or DSS. So this is going to allow you to store your proprietary data in your own environment and then still access the Mapbox platform to process it into tiles. Okay, so like I said, DSS again. The second is our geofencing API. If you're familiar with geofences, this allows you to define geofences in your data and build reactions when users enter or exit the geofence. So our API is going to allow you to unify your geofence solution. So if you have one for Android, you have one for iOS, or you have a third party, you can now do everything on Mapbox. It's going to help you boost engagement and increase your revenue, because there's a lot of use cases where geofences can help increase revenue. Lastly, we have what we're calling multi-region for Mapbox tiling service. So this is going to allow you to store your data in 2 regions. So if one region goes down, you're still able to process data updates. So that's sort of like the key use case we see for Mapbox tiling service right now, multi-region right now. All right, thanks, Chris.
All right. So thanks again to all of our presenters today from our product teams. And as you can see, Mapbox is helping businesses and developers solve their location intelligence challenges with unparalleled precision and reliability across many industries. So at this point, I want to transition over to our customer spotlight. So I'm going to welcome Benjamin Trandin and Alistair Miller, who are going to give a presentation for what our customers are working on. So thank you so much, and take it away, Alistair.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate it. Nice to see you all again. I do want to have the pleasure of introducing Benjamin. He's the founding engineer of Guided Energy, among many other cool side projects you're about to hear about. So Benjamin, thanks for being here today. Could you please introduce yourself and just give us some context and background on what you're doing at Guided Energy?
Yeah, thanks for hosting me, first of all. I'm Benjamin, and I'm an engineer at Guided Energy, which is a platform to manage EV operations for electric fleet vehicles. So we cover use cases across delivery, cabs, car rental, things like that, to manage charging and delivery operations centered around electric vehicles. Yeah.
Excellent. Great. I know you've got some other cool things that you work on. One thing that I particularly love, and that we'll talk on a little bit now, is your project that we've been able to collaborate on, which is Unzoomed. Can you tell us a little bit about that project, kind of, how it came to be and how you've been able to put that together?
Yeah, sure. So Unzoomed is a daily game inspired by games like Wordle, where every day you get a puzzle. And in Unzoomed, the puzzle starts with a very zoomed in aerial imagery of a city. And the goal is to guess the city. And as you guess, the map progressively unzooms and lets you see more of the world around it, and hopefully make better guesses.
Nice. And were there any specific products that you used in developing Unzoomed?
Yeah, so primarily the satellite style and Mapbox GLJS. The app is a web app, also available as a progressive web app on mobile.
Excellent. I primarily play it on my desktop. It's a good way to spend a couple minutes. Yesterday I got in one guess, which was actually pretty proud of myself. Today, not so much. But I'm curious, so we recently added a lot of aerial imagery. Has the geographic expansion, how's that impacted Unzoomed? Has it opened up any other opportunities than how you're working on this game or your other projects?
Yeah, so I mean, the first frame in Unzoomed is very important. That's where people land for the first time. So it's pretty important that that first very zoomed in frame is high quality imagery. And yeah, as a European, I'm very pleased that many places in Europe, for example, have been updated. And yes, since the set of cities that I'm randomly picking from is constantly evolving, I'm also using that to know where to pick my locations.
Great. So maybe we can move to a quick demo. I think one of the things we've been fortunate to take advantage of at Mapbox that you've been able to build on Unzoomed is like tons of great open data across Europe provided by governments, but then also this partnership we formed with Vexel Imaging here in the US has allowed us to expand our coverage. So I was thinking maybe if you're able to, did you want to bring up Unzoomed and I can kind of go through and make a guess? This is risky. All right, it looks European. It doesn't look United States. Let's say Prague. Can we try Prague?
Oops, sorry.
Okay, 300
Really
kilometers.
close for the first one.
Okay. I see. Let's see.
I'm driving, so I don't know where you want
No,
to.
that's fine. Panning around, just
Yeah,
trying to
try
see if
to find a
there's any big
stadium or.
landmarks. 300 kilometers away. I'm thinking maybe Austria. How about like maybe not Vienna? What about Graz? Graz? Oh, okay. So it's about the same distance away. So
Yeah.
that's too far north. Um, I know we're in that right area. How about Augsburg? And then depending what, I may ask you to zoom back in, um, because of, oh, okay. Well, I won't need you to zoom in, but if you could you zoom in just a little bit on the north side there? I think there's probably on the north side of that point, there should be a soccer stadium nearby because I believe that is Munich. There
Yes,
is,
yeah.
can we try Munich? Wonderful. Okay, good. All right. So I feel okay about that one. It's great. I mean, I think it's fun because this highlights, well, there's lots of real practical applications of imagery, and aerial imagery and satellite imagery. You can also do some really fun things about it. So I love what you've built here. I think it's really fun just as a way to go in and spend a few minutes of a day. I'm curious, what's next for this and what's next with other projects that you have going on?
For this, I'm interested in the possibility of having more regional maps. So, for example, as a French person, I would love to see a game very focused on French cities, but it would be obviously very boring for someone in the US to try and guess random places in France. So, yeah, more regional maps. I also have a bunch of other personal projects going on, so I don't know where to allocate time. But yeah.
Excellent. Anything in particular you want to highlight real quickly that you want to show? I know you've done some cool stuff with some of the different things that we offer through the platform.
So one project I've been focusing on lately is Chrono Trains. So Chrono Trains is an isochrone map of Europe, but for train travel. So think of it like Google Flights, but for trains in Europe. So you can select a city, for example, pick Paris, and you can see all the destinations that are within, I don't know, like 4 hours by train from Paris. So you can, for example, go to Amsterdam and buy tickets from there.
That's really
So
cool.
that's been done with open data from the Deutsche Bahn and yeah, some Mapbox magic for displaying the isochrones very quickly, things like that.
Fantastic. I really like that. I'm actually getting ready to head over to Europe in about a month, and I will be sure to make use of this because I've got some train time in my future. So thank you so much, Benjamin. I appreciate you sharing, your story and what you've built with a couple of these different examples. It's a pleasure working with you and getting to engage with you. So with that, I want to turn it back over to Chris for Q&A and to kind of bring us home. Chris?
All right. Thanks, Alistair. Thanks, Benjamin. Thank you for that great recap. So onto the Q&A section. So we do have one question already written, which I think is going to be for Alistair. So I think Alistair can come right back in. But in the meantime, while he's getting his camera on, I think anyone else who wants to ask a question, go ahead and use the Q&A feature, and we'll try our best to answer it live if we can. It doesn't have to be about things you saw here today. It can be anything Mapbox related or related to the products that we covered. So go ahead and type those into Q&A. So for now, first question we see is raster MTS related. It says, does the raster MTS require a Mapbox map viewer? I think they just mean, do we have to render it with a Mapbox rendering library or SDK, or can it be visualized through tiles and JavaScript in other viewers?
Sure. Great. That's a great question. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Ilya, for asking that question. So yeah, right now we've built the service and the raster MTS. It is read and rendered through JLJS and GL Native. We've built this around the ability and the flexibility that we have in our renderers to take advantage of how we store and encode the raster data. So right now there is a requirement to use GLJS or GL Native. We are in our releases for our renderer, the team's done some really good work to keep them as closely, keep feature parity as close as possible. So we're currently running on like a 2 to 3 week release cycle between the web and mobile versions. We released GLJS 3.3, which had particle animation for that part of taking raster MTS and being able to visualize it just a few weeks ago. And actually yesterday in the 11.4 version of GL Native, the particle animation is now supported in the mobile as well. So we're really excited about that and looking forward to hearing more from the community about how we might be able to improve that. I'd love to be able to, talk to people about that may have interest in taking this out to other renderers. So, always feel free to reach out so that we can have those discussions.
All right, thanks. We have another question just came in from, sounds like someone named Hinaka. Is there any plan to support Jetpack Compose for Android? I'm not sure if we actually have anyone from the mobile teams who'd be able to answer that. So I'm going to give a few moments if there's anyone else as a panelist on the webinar who knows the answer to that question. And if not, we can try and get back to you at some point. So
yes, Chris, yes. We are supporting Jetpack Compose and SwiftUI, which I know is not exactly what you asked, but in our most recent version, V11 of the mobile SDKs, there is support for Jetpack and SwiftUI. And there will actually be, I can grab the link for you. So if you give me a second, I'll paste it in the chat in a minute. But there will actually be more information coming out about that too in the coming month.
Excellent, thank you. So yes, Jetpack Compose support in the Android SDKs is a thing. So thank you so much. Okay, I see one more question from Ryan. Are the new releases compatible with the suite of Blackbaud products, namely Razor's Edge and Financial Edge? I'm actually not familiar with those. And if anyone else who's a panelist wants to chime in, they can, but I'm not sure we have an answer for those questions. So feel free, anyone else, if you want to drop a question into the chat. I see another couple just came through. So Martin says, I'm developing my web application using React and Mapbox GL and React Map GL. I'm very new to React programming and Mapbox. What do you recommend as the best way to come up to speed on Mapbox as quickly as possible? I can actually take this one, but from a GLJS standpoint, I think the examples are probably the best starting place to kind of get a full understanding of the different types of functionality that you can do with Mapbox GLJS. And then doing it in React is going to be slightly more advanced, but for the most part, you can have a combination. You can either write your own React library or wrappers around the components around the functionality of Mapbox GLJS, or you can lean on React Map GL if the functionality you need is already covered in their components. So I would recommend getting started by perusing the examples and then seeing what it takes to actually get each one of those pieces of functionality usable in your app. Okay, one more question. Is there any way to smooth the animations in the example, animate the camera along a path? And the person linked to the animation example. I'm not sure if I can answer that one directly, so keep going. Let me see if I can find one. Are there any plans to make Mapbox 3.0 standard component in Mapbox Studio more customizable? I think, Greg, this one might be one for you.
Yes. So I do want to explain that we set out to design Mapbox Standard to make 3D accessible to all Mapbox users. And one key component of that is that in Studio, if you've worked with it, we have our slot system, which is essentially a very easy inherent way of inserting your custom data. And then another key component of Mapbox Standard is that we can push map updates. So instead of having to, um, do a manual upgrade or an update of your style, when we make a change, like when we add landmarks or if we add a new theme, we are able to push those updates and you can get them right away in the style that you're currently using on the map that you're using. And the way we make this possible is by limiting the amount of customizations that are applicable so that you don't have a completely custom style and we can't then push the updates for you. With that said, so let me just that's like two of the big benefits that we really want to help developers when using Mapbox Standard. But with that said, we have definitely heard feedback that there is requests for more customization. So we are working on customization options. One big thing we are working on are additional Mapbox Standard themes. So for example, we are working on what we're calling our monochrome theme, which essentially is taking Mapbox Standard and making the colors much more muted, so that this could be in a use case where you may want to show your custom data more prominently and have it stick out more on the map. Additionally, we are working on other features like where an icon or a route line will be visible behind the buildings so that it's more usable for like a navigation use case. So these are things we are trying to contribute to the style to make them quote unquote more customizable. The last thing I do want to say is if you do have feedback and there is a specific request, please talk to your account manager or you can contact us. We are considering all customization options as long as we can fit it within the framework of still being able to push those updates to you so that you get the true benefit of Mapbox Standard. I did say this previously. We also, as we move into June and then July, we will have more information about what we've been working on with Mapbox Standard.
Awesome. Thanks. I see one that came up that also might be for you, Greg. And he already left, but he'll come right back. Airports in 3D is awesome. Do you have any plans for indoor navigation? I assume they're talking about navigation specifically, but might also be talking about indoor rendering. So maybe you know a little bit about that.
Yes, so we are looking at indoor rendering in general, and then you are definitely asking about, okay, like let's say you're in an airport and you just got off your plane and you want to, get to the ride share location, get your Uber, or maybe you are arriving at the airport and you want to be able to find your gate, etc. So we are looking at indoor navigation. I don't have any set timeline or commitment on that, but it is definitely a use case that many of our customers have been asking for. So it's certainly on our radar.
Okay, and there's one more about React Native. Do you know anything about using map rendering in React Native?
Right now, we don't have support for React Native. Not supported by Mapbox.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's see what else we got in the Q&A feature. So anyone else who wants to ask a question, go ahead and drop it in. We'll do our best to get to it. If we don't, I apologize, but go ahead. You can also kind of follow up in our developer Discord or reach out if you have an account manager. Let's see here. Can we share more about how private data link will work? Will there be a proprietary storage mechanism or will you integrate with standard data stores and protocols like ODBC? So do we have someone on the panel who is able to answer a question about private data and how it will actually get integrated and moved around?
I think that was Scott. So Scott, this one, I have to admit, I don't know enough about, so I don't want to say something that's wrong. On our back end here, we are actually just pinging the product manager in charge of PDL. So we'll see if we can get you an answer before this is over.
Excellent. Thank you. I see one more question here from Richard Pineo. Are there any updates or plans for geometries that include a height component? The use case is rendering trajectories of aircraft. And last I checked, the polyline must be draped on the terrain. So it sounds like you're looking for, I guess, extrusion or some other kind of way to visualize something that is not located on the ground. So is that one you might be able to take, Greg?
No, I cannot take that.
Okay. Yeah, so as far as I know, the you can extrude a polyline, but it's going to have kind of the curtain underneath it. So in terms of actually drawing something that is a trajectory of an aircraft that's floating above the map, I think there are solutions you can do that are basically an overlay that runs on top of the map that uses another renderer. But I don't know that there are plans for that in our core product offering. So that's probably the best answer I can give there. Okay, time is now 1:24. I think we would need to wrap it up. Actually, there's one more about large data sets, so maybe Alistair can take this one. Are there specific data structures or formats that Mapbox handles more efficiently for large data sets? Alistair, if you can go around.
Yeah, so I think, for vector data, it's generally, I think, GeoJSON is going to be the most flexible and kind of give us the most leeway to work with large data sets. There's other things, for raster data, we're definitely looking at ways where we can kind of, cut manageable size tiles to be able to get them through. I mean, obviously with raster data, you've got tile sets that tend to be quite a bit larger, or can be quite a bit larger, but you can also get vector that has really, really large tables that can get pretty substantial. So I think while GeoJSON might be the best option for vector data, we'd encourage you to reach out and reach out to support or your account rep if you've got an account rep, or just reach out directly so that we can understand what you're working with and we can figure out the best way to make it manageable for you to get it processed and cut into tiles.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I see one more question by someone named Mayo. I don't know if I pronounced that properly, so I apologize if I didn't. Mapbox standard, are you using the extrusion layer for polygons or using the model layer to style the 3D buildings? So Mapbox standard is actually a mix. So when standard came out, there was actually a new type of layer that was added to the Mapbox style specification at that time, which is actually for rendering 3D models. So when you're using Mapbox standard, you're seeing a mix of polygon extrusion for most of the buildings, and then the landmarks are a special type of building, which is actually rendering a certain type of 3D model onto the map. We have a question here about general roadmap updates regarding optimization v2 beta, which is one of our APIs. I don't know if there's anyone on the panel who can answer or say anything about optimization v2. I don't know that I can, but if anyone chimes in, we could try and answer that. Let's see. Yeah, I think the time is now 1:26. I think we do want to wrap it up. So I think we have one more slide to show you about some upcoming webinars, which we would love to have you attend. So elevating the real estate customer experience. If you're in the real estate industry, this will be a conversation with the Houston Association of Realtors, which uses Mapbox extensively in their work. How Mapbox drives efficiency and business growth in on-demand logistics. So anyone who's moving things around and wants to see best practices there, that would be one to tune into. And then building telecommunications coverage maps with Mapbox. So more about the telecommunications industry if anyone is interested in building in that manner. So this will wrap up our 2024 spring release. Again, apologize if I didn't get to all your questions, but we're really glad you joined us today. And there will be a survey that goes out, I believe, via email that we would love your feedback on so we can make these better. So thanks a lot again for joining us. This will conclude the webinar, and we look forward to seeing what you build with Mapbox. Take care.